Half a day, everyone. This is Becky Tobis. I am the Crafty Chamarita. Thank you so much for joining me for my regularly scheduled Friday Facebook Live. I come to you live every Friday at 12 o'clock if you're on Guam. And if you're in the States, it's 6 o'clock Pacific time. So you can calculate the times from there. So whether you're watching me live or you're catching me on the replay or you are watching me on YouTube, thank you so much for liking, following, subscribing. I appreciate the fact that you are carving some time out of your schedules to be with me. And so hopefully my goal is always to demonstrate things that I hope to inspire you with so that it gives you ideas for your projects, whether they be card making or scrapbooking or 3D projects. So I hope that you learn something from my demonstration. It's so funny because I was talking to a fellow demonstrator a couple of days ago, and she is also a former teacher. And I was sharing with her that once you are a teacher, like I was, it just never goes away. So in my everyday life, I just find myself constantly sharing information, giving tidbits. It's just, I guess it's just in my blood. So that will never go away. So hopefully I am sharing something with you that you enjoy. Before I get to that though, I just want to do a quick reminder to everybody. The joining special is happening now and it's going to end soon. So if you are thinking about becoming a demonstrator, this is a great time to do it because you get that awesome Stampin' Positioner as part of your starter kit. And that comes as part of your kit for free. You don't have to pay anything extra for that. Okay, so let me go ahead and first put on my eyes. And next, change my screen so you can see my workspace. So if you didn't already get this, I recommend that you get it ASAP. This is February's product of the month. If you are not familiar with that, let me share with you. Every month, Stampin' Up! Features a different product. So this month, it's Designer Series paper. So you can get this packet for $5 with a qualifying $75 order. And you know, gosh, let's face it, it is so easy to spend $75 on all the crafting goodies that we want to get. So this is February's product of the month. It's called Painted Illusions. So I'm going to use this in combination with January's product of the month called Fabulous Sayings. So both of these were available for $5 each with a qualifying order. But unfortunately, I just checked. This is no longer available in English. If you want to get it in French, it's still available in French. Now, for the majority of you, I'm sure that's not going to be very helpful to you, right? But the Designer Series paper is still available. And if you order, what will happen is there'll be like a banner on the top and it'll show you how far you've progressed to reaching that $75. So before you check out, make sure you add that to your cart because a lot of people miss that step and they miss the opportunity to get the product of the month. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you and you can take advantage of it. Okay. Hi, Sybil. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what I'm going to be doing. Before I do that, though, I just wanted to kind of share with you. Gosh, I got no space to put these things. When I demonstrate things, it's usually because there are things that have interested me or things that I haven't tried before that I want to try. So this is what was the impetus for this particular card. So I got the inspiration from Brandy's card, and this is the card that we're going to make. So it's not your normal card in the sense that you're not going to open the flap this way. This is a pull-out card. So you're just going to pull it out, and then you can put your sentiments in here, and you can also put in your whatever writing you have, and then it just slips back in. So as you can see, this is the paper. Oh man, I forgot to show you the paper. Let me bring this back because the minute I saw this, I knew immediately that I wanted to get it. I was just really inspired by the colors and the design. Look at how pretty this paper is. They're very bright, very happy colors. And this one could very easily be translated into a tropical card because it has our tropical colors in it and even the designs for leaves. So this is how the front side looks like. You know, as always, it is has patterns on it, and then the back side is a little bit more subtle. So this is how the back side looks. So whether you use, you know, whatever side you use, you're gonna love this paper. Okay. And this card is not difficult at all to make. So let me put this here so that I can see it and I can make sure I follow all the steps. I try to prep everything in advance, so that way you don't have to wait for me to cut things and stuff like that. You can just watch me put it together, and then hopefully you can watch it on your own later on. So first of all, you're going to start with a piece of designer series paper. So this is going to be cut at 5.5 by 12. So make sure that whatever orientation you have for your card, just remember this is going to be a portrait. So the design is going to be this way, not this way. Okay, so make sure that when you cut it the right way. You don't want to have to, cut it and then realize, you did it the wrong way. And then we're going to score it. We're going to score it at 4 inches and 8 inches. Now, because this is designer series paper, don't be heavy when you use the scoring tool here, because you don't want to tear your paper. So I'm just going to line it up at the 4-inch mark here. This is my scoring blade, and I'm just going to kind of run it across, but I'm not going to run it across with a lot of pressure, because I don't want it to rip the paper. Now I can score it at the 8-inch mark by bringing out the arm like this, but you guys know me. If I can get away with the lazy way, I'll get away with the lazy way. So I'm just going to turn this around, and I'm just going to score it at the 4-inch mark again, because 4 plus 4 equals 8. So it's a way for me to not have to take the arm, right? Okay, and then what we're going to do is I'm just going to fold it. I'm not going to use my bone folder because I don't want to rip the creases, but I need to see where it folds, because then I'm going to need to cut the triangles. So this is the left side. So what's going to happen is I am going to cut it this way, right? So if I can't see the score line, and if you can't see your score line, just take a pencil mark and put it here. And then I'm going to align it in the groove of my trimmer. So that part is going to go there. And then the corner, bottom corner here, I just want to make sure that's all in the screen, is going to go in the groove. Okay, that looks like it's about right. And I'm just going to cut it like that. And then the other side, I'm going to do the same thing, but the cut is going to be this way. I'm just going to leave a little tick mark so that I can see where it's folding. You know, when you get older, your eyes just do not work as well. So we use things like, reading glasses and magnifying glasses to see what we need to do. So I'm just going to line it in here. And then I'm going to cut it. Now, you're going to have these 2 triangle pieces that are left over. Don't throw them away, because you can use these to make other cards. So I'm just going to put that on the side. And later on, I don't have my rubber eraser handy. I wonder if the glue eraser is going to work. That works a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to erase my tick marks there. Okay, so it's going to fold like this. Okay. All right, let me show you what the pieces are that's going to go here. So I'm going to put this here in its section so I don't get mixed up. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 layers for the back side of the card. So this layer here, and I'll put the dimensions in the description so you don't have to worry about writing it down. So this layer here is going to be 3 3/4 by 4 3/4, and this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and it's just going to be layered like this. So let me go ahead and layer it now. I'm going to use my Tombow glue. This is my adhesive of choice. I got to tell you a story, and I'm going to post this because I think you guys will find yourself in the same situation as I did. So I had some time to kill the other day. I was meeting somebody. Uh-oh, why is this off? Uh-oh. this is supposed to fit nicely. So I did something wrong here. Let me just measure this real quick, because if it's off, I'm going to need to cut another piece. So this should be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That's what it is. The white paper is wrong. Okay. I'm just going to pull this off. Don't mind me. And I'm just going to cut white paper, because if it's wrong, it's going to really mess up the card. Okay. So again, this is going to be 4 1/8. I'm just going to turn this around because that one's, the corner's a little bit warped. 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So 5 4/8 is the half, is the 5 1/2. So I'm just going to move it down. There you go. And that should be correct. So trust your instincts. You know, like if you do something and you see it and you're like, oh, that doesn't look right, then fix it before it sticks permanently. And that's why I love the Tombow glue, because it's forgiving. You have time to move things before the glue permanently sets. Okay. And this is going to serve as the backbone of the card. This is going to be the base. So we're going to put this on top of this like that. Okay. But before we do that, let me go ahead and do the insert. So this is the part that's going to pull out. So this here is 3 3/4 by 4 3/4, and then the cardstock is 3 7/8 by 4 7/8. Remember, I'll put the dimensions down so you don't have to worry about writing it down. But just remember too that Facebook only keeps our videos for 30 days. And after 30 days, it gets deleted. But I will upload this to YouTube, and I'll also put the dimensions on YouTube. So if you can't find it on Facebook anymore, go to YouTube. Okay. All right. So we've got that. Now let's go ahead and do a little bit of stamping. I am going to use this sentiment where it says happy birthday on it. And I always stamp better when I'm using photopolymer. I stamp better when I stamp on top of the piercing mat. So for this, what color did I say I was going to use? I think I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo. Is that what I want? Or do I want to use Pretty Peacock? I'm going to use Pretty Peacock because the base is Pretty Peacock here. You can use whatever color you want. And you know, in the back of all of our papers, we have, it tells you what the coordinating colors are. Do I have this here? So like on the back of this paper, it tells you what the coordinating colors are. Darling Duckling, Flirty Flamingo, Granny Apple Green, Lost Lagoon, Misty Moonlight, Petal Pink, and Pretty Peacock. So you don't have to guess what the colors are. All right. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to take my Flirty Flamingo ink, and I'm going to take my blending brush, and I'm just going to blend a little bit of color just so that it's not so white. By the way, I'm going to tell you guys this now in case you haven't heard the news. Our ink pads are going to change. So starting with the new catalog that's going to come out in a few months, the ink pads are going to be magnetic. So those of you who have trouble with our current ink pads opening it up, then there's going to be relief for you. So I'm excited to see how those are going to be. I'm definitely going to get the ink pad in the new ink colors, because when the new catalog comes out, the ink colors are going to change. I'm just going to add a little bit color to this. And that should be good. And I'm just going to clean this up because I don't want the Flirty Flamingo to get on other places. Oh, you guys can't see, but oh my gosh, I think I need to clean my, what do you call it? My glass mat. It's dirty. Okay, where did I put the stamp pad. Okay, so I'm going to use happy birthday, which is here. So I didn't put the measurements. I'm not going to put the measurements down for the sentiments because really that's going to change depending on what stamp you decide to use for your sentiment. Usually what will happen is I make a lot of condolence cards and birthday cards. Those are the two most popular ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and start putting these things together. So when you glue it, just know that this part over here is going to be glued together. So what I did to kind of help me know that is I just kind of stuck my finger, right? Let me do this again because I moved my finger. So it's going to end right over here. So I'm going to put my finger here so I know don't go past that, right? But before you do that, I forgot to put this in. This part has to be glued down. Because if you don't glue it down, your insert is just going to fall through. How do I know this? Because I forgot to glue it down and my insert went all the way through. So learn from my mistakes, okay? All right, so that's done. Okay, so let me go ahead and adhere it to the base. I know it seems like a shame to cover up this part of the DSP, right? But at least it still shows in the front. This is such beautiful paper. And remember, for the product of the month, those are only going to be stocked, as while supplies last. So if it runs out, then it runs out. So if you didn't already get it, I highly recommend that you do get it. Okay, so now we've got the insert here, and what we're going to do is we need to put something on the top so that the recipient knows, hey, there's something there, and they have something a little bit sturdy to help to pull it out. So I'm going to use my hexagon punch, and I'm just going to cut the hexagon out like so. And then I'm going to get my score, and I'm going to score it. So when I did this, I figured as long as I put it between the two 1-inch marks, it's going to be pretty even. I'm going to use my scoring blade for this. I'm going to fold it down, and I'm simply going to attach it to the top here. And I'm just going to eyeball it where I think it's going to go. So I'm just going to put glue on both sides so that it sticks to both sides. That looks like it's in the middle, right? Okay. Now this paper, normally I'd say if you don't have, because this stamp doesn't have any images with it, so it's just a pure sentiment stamp. And this particular paper doesn't have big images that you can cut out. So what I decided to do was I decided to pull out this. So this is called the Softest Spring Mix and Match Puffy Stickers. So these are stickers, but they're puffy. They are so cute. I don't know if you could see this. If I turn it this way, if you could see that they're like foam. So I figured this will be perfect to use with my card. Okay, so before I do that, let me go ahead and put my sentiment on. Now I notice even though this is at 4 inches where I scored it, when I cut it at 4 inches, it was a little bit short. So that's why I gave myself some wiggle room. So this one's going to be a little bit longer. So I'm just going to cut it off by a smidgen. I think because when I folded it, it's raised a little bit. So it made it so that the 4 inches fell a little bit short. Okay, that looks like it's going to work. And I'm going to be careful not to glue it over here because you want this part open. So I'm going to make sure my sentiment is below the section where it meets. I could have put dimensionals. I didn't even think about that. That's okay. Right, so I've got my happy birthday here. And then I've got my pull-out card. I'm going to stick it inside. And now I'm going to use my foam stickers to decorate it. Now, even though the colors may not be exactly like what the foam stickers have, that's okay. Nobody's gonna care, right? Okay, so what am I gonna use? I think I want to use a butterfly. And maybe I'll use the yellow. Even though the yellow doesn't really show here, there is some yellow on the paper. And I'm just going to stick this down like that. And then for the bottom, I think I'll just use a leaf. And I'll stick a leaf here. I tell you, these things come in so handy. I love that product. Okay. And this card is done, but we are not done with it totally, because I cut a piece of designer series paper. This is 6 by 2.5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate the envelope. So I'm just going to glue the back side like this. If you've never done this before, I think you're going to see just how easy it is to decorate the envelope. Okay, so once you have that glued down, then you just take your snips, turn this around, and you just follow the line of the envelope. Doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you have the general outline, it's good. And of course, since I'm doing this live, right, I'm rushing through it, so my cuts may not be precise. So I'll just go back in and fix it. And there you go. So I've got my card ready to be sent along with the envelope. And I did this for this card as well. Okay, so you can see, even though I used, it's from the same pack, there's a little bit of a different look on it just because the colors are different. Nothing wrong with that, okay? Now, remember how I told you, don't throw away the triangles, because you can use this for another card. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. So I prepped the materials for that. Let me pull it out for you. So this one's going to be a regular card. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, and you score it at 4 1/4. That's the regular one. Okay, this is going to go on the inside. Let me move that away. Okay, sorry, it's hot. Every time I'm here between the lights and everything, I know some of the people in the States are like still cold from the winter, and Guam, we're perpetually hot. Hi Trine, thanks for joining me. Okay, let's put this card together. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you how you can use the triangles. So you can do it like this, right? Or if you want to just use one of them, you could go like this. And this will work this way. You could put it together like that. You can overlap it and make it be like a banner. You could do the same thing for this side. So there's lots of different ways that you can use the triangle. But for our purposes, we are just going to put this together, right? Be careful though, because you cannot put them together any which way. So like this one, notice when I did that, it's not a rectangle, right? So I have to turn this around in order for it to be a perfect rectangle. Okay. Okay. Now, I think because the colors that I prepped for it are Flirty Flamingo, I want this side to definitely show, right? And so in order to do that, then I have to make it go like this, okay? All right, I'm gonna try something new that I haven't done before. I hope it works. So typically what I do when I'm doing a card like this is I get a piece of tape and I tape it across. But I wanted to see if this will work. Rather than taping it, I'm going to use my stamp and seal. And I'm going to see if it's enough to hold it together, because I don't want it to move. Okay. I think that'll work, right? And you know what? Since I have my stamp and seal out, I'm just going to do it for the whole thing. So this is another adhesive you can use for your projects rather than the Tombow glue. Let's turn this around. Oh no, it didn't work. It's moving. So I know I need to use my tape. That's the only way to find out if it's going to work or not, right? You have to try it. Okay. All right. So that's how my front is going to look like. And I pre-cut these layered circles. This is from Nature's Die. The Nature's Die set. I love that die set. Even if it retires, I'm still going to use it because I love it. Okay, what color should we use here? I've got Misty Moonlight and I've got Flirty Flamingo. I think I'm going to use Misty Moonlight because the Flirty Flamingo is pretty vibrant. It's pretty bright. And for this sentiment, I'm going to use the thank you stamp. I want to make sure this is flat. And I can do the same thing that I did with the other one. If I wanted to color in the sides, I could do that. I don't think I'm going to do it for this one, though. Okay, and I'm going to layer it like that. I'm trying to be careful not to touch the ink because even though it dries pretty quickly, you just never know, right? I'm just going to give it a nice rub in the back. And then I'm going to use my ribbon in the back. I didn't have any Misty Moonlight ribbon, so I don't know if you know that trick where you could take your alcohol marker and you can color a white ribbon to get it to be the color that you want. And that's what I did here. Okay, so I'm going to make it go like this. Do it around. And let me get my stamp and seal. Okay, and I'm just going to curl it like this and curl it like this. So I'm just kind of eyeballing where do I think the stamp and seal is going to go. And I'm going to curl it like this. That should be good. Wasn't quite sure if I cut enough ribbon, but it looks like I did. Okay. And I'm just going to cut it diagonally on both sides. Now, because I'm using ribbon here, so you know, of course, that when you're going to put this down and you have things that have dimension to it, then you're going to need to use dimensionals because you're going to need to lift it up. So I'm just going to put dimensionals on. I don't want to use my small one. I'm just going to put dimensionals around the ribbon so it doesn't add more height to it, but I want to make sure that I'm putting it in places where it's actually going to keep the card lifted a good amount. Okay, I think I'm going to need one here and maybe one in the middle here. I know some people go crazy with dimensionals. Are you one of those? In the virtual retreat that I attended, one of the presenters loves dimensionals so much that she probably uses double, maybe triple of what I use. But she says because she is a scrapbooker by trade, so she wants to make sure that everything stays flat. And I was like, ooh, that's a little bit too many dimensionals for me. Okay. And then we've got our card here. And I didn't put out embellishments for this, so I'll pull it out later. I'll figure out what embellishments to put in this card. And then for the inside, because remember, we don't want to have a blank card in the inside. It's akin to having a naked card. We don't want to have naked cards. So I'm just going to put a piece of DSP because this stamp set doesn't have any images. So I'm just going to put the DSP and I'm just going to put a very slight border. Can you guys hear my phone ringing? Okay. That's my sister calling. Oh no. If she's calling me in the middle of my live, that means she's calling me to tell me something's wrong. I hope nothing's wrong with my live because I'm just going forward. Okay. And I think I cut a little bit too much here, so I'm just going to cut off a smidgen. on both sides. I know somebody once told me that they kind of freak out a little bit because I don't fold my cards when I'm working on them. I prefer to have them flat, right? So I don't burnish it until I'm all done. And they're like, oh, you don't fold it? I'm like, no. But how do you know where the folds are? I said I could see them. So I use the lines to guide me, right? Everybody does crafting differently. There's no right way or wrong way. Now, because the cardstock is thicker, I'm going to use my bone folder here. Oops. And there you go. I've got my thank you card all ready to go. All right. Let me show you what I also did with some samples that I did earlier. So instead of putting the two triangles together here, I just put one. And then I used a cardstock base. This is not a triangle. This is an actual rectangle. And I did the embossing folder for it. Okay, you're on my mind. I don't think I put anything on the inside for this yet. So I have to go back and do the inside for that. And then this one over here, I used the other triangle and I made it landscape. I did the same thing. I used a white card base and I used an embossing folder. Oh, it's not you calling? Okay. My eyes are deceiving me then because I'm looking at it from a distance. Okay. All right. So what I did was I used one of the triangles. Then I used an embossing folder for this. And then I used the sentiment. There are simply no words for this. So this one I'm going to make into a sympathy card because you've heard me mention before, I go through a lot of sympathy cards. So I have to work hard at keeping up with the demand because unfortunately we go to a lot of funerals here on Guam. Okay, so these are the cards that I made. And again, this is called the pull-out pocket card. So did you like that? I hope you did, and I hope that you give it a try because this is such an easy card to make and it really shows off your designer series paper. And Stampin' Up! Comes up with really gorgeous paper. So why wouldn't we want to show it off, right? Exactly. I feel the same way. All right. So that's it for today. I'll be back next week, Friday, to share some ideas that hopefully will inspire you. So until then, everyone have a wonderful weekend and I'll see you next week. Bye.